What's going on, guys? If you guys have the hatch lights in the 20 to 25 interceptor utilities like this, and you want to make them smart like this to be able to flash with the rest of your system and kind of control to the best of your abilities, it's not that difficult. First thing you have to do is remove the trim piece, which is going to be 6 10mm bolts, which if you have the hatch up at about a 45 degree, you'll be able to see them quite well. Once they're off, you're going to disconnect the plugs, which I'm going to show you exactly what plugs in a little bit. And then once you have those plugs disconnected, you'll just pop it off. And sometimes it gets a little finky and whatnot, but once you get a little bit of the corner off, you can just kind of pull it out. The blue tabs that secure them in are pretty tough. So once you get it off and you pull the wires out through the hole and anything else that is connected, you can put it down your workstation so we can show you how to do it. Now, this 6-position plug that only has 4 wires is what you're going to be looking for on the hatch. With that, you're going to cut off the plug on one of the ends, which will allow you to actually do some testing before you actually go forward with everything. So to first do that, you're going to strip back some of the wires, grab your tester, which in my case I use a Milwaukee M12 battery, I believe it is, with a spade connectors on the end that go into the battery terminal quite well. And then when I plug in my power probe, it powers on like you can see here. From there, connect your black to black and then add 12 volt to the red, which will enable the flashing. Now connect your green and black together and then go back to power and it should be steady. Now looking at this plug again, what you're going to be doing exactly in order to kind of get this all to go together is cut the plug end off, and I usually do on the light side just because that is going to be easier to make sure you have the right wires on, because as you see on the left side of the plug here, there is some different color wires. So right side of the plug, normally it is your red is power, black is ground, green is your sync, and white is your mode wire. Now, what you'll do when you cut it off is tie in the black and green together, and that's going to go to your ground. Your red wire is not going to be your activation, and your white is not going to really do anything at this moment because it's only a single color. Now, the ground and green wire can stay together. The red wire, what I like to do on these is actually put them to where the white wire is, and that's going to make more sense in a little bit when I show you how it plugs back in on the vehicle side. But you're going to do this to both sides. The other side you can leave normal to where it's the green and black to ground, and the red will just go to its normal 12 volt activation wire that comes from the factory. Once you have all the wires hooked up properly and it's all good to go on the trim side, what you can do is go and reattach it, and it's going to be the exact same way as you took it off. First thing you'll do is just push the wires through, and then once the wires are through, you can go ahead and reconnect the 6 bolts that hold on that trim piece. So as you put it back up, you're just going to snap the blue pins back in and then reattach the 6 bolts, which are the 10mm that go into the same holes that, well, you took it out of. So with it now reattached, you can go ahead and remake the connections that were disconnected beforehand, so you take it out, which is going to be that gray plug and the black plugs that actually come from Ford, so you can have the pass-through to the bottom panel, which we'll go over later, which makes life a lot easier for any sort of hatch lights, whether it be open hatch or the license plate lights. So you just basically pop right in, connect to those, and it's already inside the vehicle for you, ready to go. And to understand a little bit better on what goes where, inside the upfitter guide that's provided by Ford, it gives you this diagram and explains basically everything you need to know. So in the upper part of the liftgate, you have the 4-pin plugs, which give you your power, ground, pattern, sync. And the lower ones, which we just saw, are going to be your 6-pin plugs that have 4 wires, which is your power, ground, sync, and pattern. Now, this will tell you what wires are connected up with each other and which ones go to the 6-pin plug, which only has 4 wires. But that's inside the vehicle, which makes it nice and easy because you don't have to run through any boots. Now, when it comes to actually wiring up the smart systems or even dual color lights to be able to flash with everything, with this, it shows you exactly what wires are connected to each other and which ones go through the pass-through. Now, these wires, you could have it to where, since the 4 wires actually come out inside the vehicle, you can have 1 wire for your red, 1 for blue. If you had amber, you could do 1 for each side, or like 1 for your hatch lights, so you could separate everything, or just kind of however you want to do it. But it will allow you to make those connections all set to go. With the smart systems, I do exactly that. So One wire is going to be for the open hatch lights, which are the microns that come from Ford. One's going to be for your red hatch light, which is now in blueprint mode, and one's going to be for your blue hatch light, which is now in blueprint mode. Now, I always make sure to test that and the other side or inside the vehicle before I, put everything back together, but it's a nice little way to get things done without having to run extra wire, which I actually got to thank Ford for that one. And now, unfortunately, this vehicle, the plug was already cut off on, so I can't show you that, but it looks identical to the plug that the taillights go into. But you'll find those 4 wires, and like I said, one is for your 12 volt for the driver's side, one's 12 volt for the passenger side, one is your sync wire, and one is pattern wire, so you could, sync it up with the rest of the vehicle, but that's all inside the vehicle, ready to go, and it just terminates there. It doesn't connect anywhere else, so it kind of leaves it up for us to be able to do whatever we need to with it. So from here, I just extended the wires and ran them to the smart system so I can control everything. And a quick little tip before you actually run the wires is use your power probe or just 12 volt test them to make sure they're actually doing what you want them to do, because that is a big issue if you realize later that something didn't hook up right and now you got to go back in and tear everything down. So hopefully this was a nice little video to be able to show you how to make these lights into blueprint mode, which just kills the flasher, so you can flash it with a smart system, whether it be an actual flasher module, core, blueprint, pathfinder, whatever you want to do. Now, in that plug, that white wire should be the wire that you can change the pattern on, but since I have not actually done that and I've just done the smart builds, I can't really attest to if it's 12 volt or ground, because sound off is weird and goes back and forth between them. But if you do your research on it, you'll be able to figure it out and change the pattern if you need to or want to. Good luck and happy outfitting, everyone. I'll catch you next time.